We are back after more than a month of shows on the road. We're back in our homes where we belong. They'll let us back out in another 4 years for Live Hotline League at North American Worlds. I'm joined tonight by my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
It's going good. I drove home last night. Been just trying to revitalize myself today. I have this blame game, some other stuff going on this week. But
What's the other
yeah,
stuff?
I'm ready for the off season. I'm ready to be fucking done. You know.
What is the other stuff?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not. I don't think it's a big deal. So I'm just gonna say it. But I mean, have you seen the things that the Lowell Esports YouTube channel was putting out, like the lists? Kobe did one.
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah, I'm doing one of those this week.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think that's too crazy.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, you're promoting their content. I feel like that's completely
I think
fine.
They would be excited.
Wait,
hey, look out for this.
What was Kobe's list?
I think ultimate list is probably the easiest way to find it.
Yeah, his was like all-time plays or something.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. We also got Raz joining us here tonight. How's it going, Raz?
It's been good. I flew in yesterday morning. Funny enough, I thought it was going to be a great idea to fly in like super, super early and I can just sleep on the flight. But
it's
I
like
realized
a 40-minute flight.
That was the problem. I don't know why I didn't think that, like, the second step of, oh, this is a short as hell flight. So I was like, okay, I'm actually going to have to sleep earlier. And it was good because I wasn't intending to go to the after party. And then I couldn't even sleep on the flight. I had a crying baby behind me. And my little headphones did not charge when I had plugged in all night.
Dude,
I was like, what the hell?
It's a 45-minute flight anyway. Like, that's not...
I would have slept.
I know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, oh, I could just fly early and sleep on the flight is like a weird thing to say whenever it's barely a nap.
Look, I know. But I was setting up for it. And it just didn't work out. I swear, not only was this baby wasn't just crying, by the way. Like, there's a difference in crying and going wild. Like, it was like... This is my random, I'll talk about that a little right now. That's my Grubhub driver. But yes, literal tantrum, just going, like fucking wilding. Literally everyone around this baby was like, what the fuck is going on with this child? And usually the parents would have some elevated, because everyone feels bad for the parent in that situation. You're like, the parents are trying to make it better. These parents were like, nah, this is just another day. I was like, holy shit, you're just not even doing anything?
I don't feel bad for the parents in that situation. I'm like, why did you bring this child on this plane and ruin my experience?
What are you going to do? Like, I had empathy for the parents, and they just had a possessed-ass baby, man.
the amount of empathy the parents get is like scales with like how empathetic they're trying to look themselves. Like if they look worried about the people around them, then I feel bad for them. But if they don't look like they give a shit, then like I don't. Fuck you guys. Like
yeah, I learned
two-way
that
street
today.
there.
I learned that, and then I had the sassiest bus driver, like the perfect level of sass. it was literally 7 a.m. and she was trying to get us to be energetic while we were getting to the next destination. She's like, "Where's your energy, guys? You may not be first class, but when you guys are living a good life, you're first class over here." I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what is going on? Anyways, too much energy, way too early on in this flight from a baby and a bus driver. That's my story time. Thank you.
You said you didn't go to the after party. Travis, did you go to the after party?
I did. You also did not go, Mark.
Yeah, I skipped. I mean, because it went from supposedly like 11 to 1, and like the games ended at 11.
No, it went till 2. It went till 2, but I think the confusion was that at 2 it became 1. So the joke was it went till 2, and then I look at my watch, and now it's 1 again because of the time change. And I was like, oh, we could party for another hour.
So wait, there was a time change?
No, I did not. But I was there for an hour and a half.
Everything
daylight savings time happened, Mark. Do you not realize that?
I didn't even know.
No, I realized daylight savings.
No, it was me that didn't realize it. Everything I have just automatically changes, so I did not know. How the hell did I not miss my flight?
Well, because your alarm still sets you up at the same time and all that stuff. Like,
that's crazy. Thank God for technology, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it was at the Giant Stadium for the people that are asking.
Yeah. How was it? I didn't.
It was actually really cool.
I went past it, but okay.
I don't normally get invited to those things. I don't know how I got invited to this one, but saw a lot of different people there. Had some good conversations. I mean, I was only there for like a little bit over an hour because we stuck around for press conferences. I interviewed Deft, which is the first time since 2013 that I've been able to get an interview after finals. Riot has not allowed one-on-one interviews since 2013, and the last time for context that I interviewed anybody after finals was Faker when he won his very first Worlds. And so 9 years later, we back to the one-on-one interviews after. That's how bad things got in groups with the media access, that they were like, "Fuck it, we're turning on one-on-ones for finals." But anyway, that was really cool. So, but yeah, I was only there for a little bit, but they did have Mario Kart on the Jumbotron, which was pretty fun. I mostly hung out with Broden and Dan Peralt from Players. They were really fun to chill with.
Did you figure out which team double-elim's going to? Where's double-elim going?
I have been sworn to secrecy on that issue. I actually sent a message about it earlier tonight and was told not to say anything. So
I wouldn't be
why
surprised
don't we leak
with
it
how
for views
much
instead?
you were working alongside double-elim.
You were sworn to
entire month.
secrecy, but was it an NDA or was it like a friendship thing? Because
it was a friendship thing. I think the bigger thing is I think the bigger thing is you say leak for views. I'm pretty sure I will get more views by being friendly with him in the long term, regardless of what ends up happening in the off season, if he plays or he doesn't or whatever. But yeah.
Does the team name
real
begin
friends?
with a T or an E
Or a 1.
or a C or a D?
All I'm saying,
or-
Travis, who are your real friends? There's about 1,000 of us. Okay. Not
Has
counting
he
YouTube.
played on this team before? It's like guess who? You know, you have the little thing, you just flip them down. Yes or no questions. Blink once if he has not played on this team before.
I mean, what I can say is I don't think anything's ironclad yet. I guess
like
I'll
2
say
blinks.
that. I will say nothing is ironclad yet. So
let's
I
start-
was probably something I should not even say, even if I did know, because nothing is ironclad yet.
Oh, if it's not ironclad, then it could be liquid clad.
Oh, true.
There we go. There we have it. I
He's
think we're
joining
getting
T1.
closer.
Okay, after Guba's performance in the finals, they're like, "Get this guy out of here. He deserves a good
If
team."
you see how T1 fans are, some T1 fans are reacting. They're like, "Get Zeus out of here, man! Let's get us a real top
I mean, some
laner
people
like
were saying the
King
same
is."
thing about Faker, right? So
I don't think anyone said. I didn't see about Faker, but I saw a lot about Zeus.
shout out
This
to
community
Alienware and Grubhub for sponsoring. Speaking of Grubhub, by the way, we have a giveaway that is expiring in the next couple hours. So if you're listening to this on VOD, it's too late. But please go enter our giveaway. You can do !mark giveaway in the chat to get the link. And signing up for that's really helpful. I did a poor job of promoting it, so you actually have a very decent chance of winning something from it. Okay. What else? Guys, I just want to say,
talk about.
I just want to say the finals were so good that last night I opened up League of Legends and I solo queued into a game of Summoner's Rift.
What the hell?
That is,
I don't believe it.
No, you look at my. And then here's the thing.
Post
I was
the
like,
mass history. Let us see. Post
No,
it. Show
here's
it on
the
screen.
thing.
Way.
I played a draft or whatever, and I was like, okay, I'll play Blitzcrank, but apparently Blitzcrank very meta right now because insta banned, and then I played again this morning and Blitzcrank was first picked by the other team, even though it got through ban. So then I'm like, this is not fun. But I won my first game last night, and then we surrendered today because we had people screaming at each other. It was not fun.
Yep.
But that's how good finals were. Was that I don't play much Summoner's Rift these days because I don't like playing without friends, and my friends are either way out of my league, literally, or they don't play League right now. They play like TFT or Val or something. And so I was like, fuck it, I want to play, and even if I don't have friends to play games with, I will play this game of League of Legends.
So you played Alistar yesterday.
No, this morning.
Oh, wait, You played 2 games.
Yes,
You
I
played
said
a
I
Leona
played
game
this
and a-
morning as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You won one. Pog.
Let's go.
Yeah, last night's game, and then we surrendered this morning. So
At least the fact that you got to play a game because of that finals speaks volumes of that finals.
I mean,
sure.
I also played Wild Rift once I got in bed too. So, which is the superior version of League of Legends. Really, it's just sad nobody really plays it. But, yeah, no, that's how good the finals were. They were that good. Anyway,
Yeah, those finals were great. The opening ceremony
it was-
loved.
Ooh, okay. So
should we
how
talk
much
about
this do we
opening
wanna,
ceremony? Are we gonna pull a caller about it? You think?
that's what I was about to ask. Like, I assume for this, like, we have the entire off season to go about NA stuff. So I think we will try and focus a little bit more on Worlds and
Yeah, I think
that
we
kind
can
of stuff.
pull
We'll
some
see, but-
off-season callers because there's some rumors out there, and like now's when
Yeah,
people
that's
can
more
kind
like
of speculate.
specific rumors rather than like LCS should do this or that kind of thing. You know?
Yes. So I think
So I'm
if
definitely-
people are trying to get pulled into the show right now, I think we're gonna try to balance half of it on finals and Worlds, kind of retro. Talk about opening ceremony. Talk about what you thought was good or bad about Worlds. There was also the press conference where
No one cares.
John Needham. Yeah, a lot of people cared when John Needham said there was going to be
yeah.
double-elim. I think you cared, Mark.
No, I do care. I thought you were gonna say like you always complain about media press conferences with players. I thought you were going there. So that's why I tried to-
No.
That was a good
There
one.
was the the Riot press conference. Also, here's a moment where I should say, while Mark starts looking at callers and folks, as you guys are all typing your takes into the pleb topics and subtopics chat on Discord, which Numi's putting the Discord in to chat right now. But
Ooh.
I should say I did, and I don't even think Mark knows this, a 50-minute long interview with John Needham, the president of Riot Games. We go back and forth a lot on double-elim. We talk about tickets. We talk about LCS import stuff. We talk about balancing Val versus League and things like the rumored LCS schedule. We talk about a lot of things. I'm hoping to get that out on Wednesday, but no promises because Drew is back at his real job.
Can I get one thing out quick before
Yeah.
we get the caller in? So I wanted to comment on the fact that press conference because I wanted to give you credit once again. Love the fact that you chased that question back because I feel as though if you didn't do that, holy shit, would anyone actually ask that question?
Oh,
It
the
was one of those-
double-elim thing?
Yeah, the double-elim thing. Maybe it does get asked, but that one was like, because the one thing that really tilted me was that we were just going into the same format with no explanation. So I enjoyed the fact that at least they said that that was something they were thinking about and they would change the format. And actually, good on Needham to clarify and saying that we were gonna just stick to single elim because obviously I fucking hate single elim. But if he didn't come in and clarify immediately afterwards, they would have just said like we're changing the format, and then we go into next year with no double elim. We're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck happened?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. At the time, I thought it was kind of crazy because like Nas was like, "Cool, yeah, we're gonna change format. Everything's cool," and then Needham's like, "But wait, just so you all know, all
Yes.
my homies ain't double-elim. Fuck double-elim."
Well, so to give him to Raz's point, to give him credit, that's way
Yes.
better than pretending that
Yeah,
they're giving
yeah,
us
yeah,
what
yeah.
they want and then just pissing everyone off next year. Like get us pissed off now at right before World Finals where we're all going to forget about it because it was like World Finals and sick, you know?
Yeah.
And like versus like when it comes out next year and the World's format's announced and we're all just like, what?
Yes, exactly. So credit to you for asking the question and chasing that down. Credit to Needham for like jumping in to make it clear because when it was initially said I was by Naz, that was like, yeah, we're changing the format. I was like, okay, that's good. We're getting exactly what we want because the base of the question was on double-elim. And so he made it clear that it wasn't double-elim. So now we can actually have the conversation again. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Obviously-
constant
oh, yeah.
content for us. Mark can make another blame game next year about the format.
There we
Next
go.
year, try tonight, this week.
Raz, if you liked wait, Mark, are you gonna do another format blame game about it, or are you gonna do it about T1 losing?
It's going to be a little column A, a little column B. It's not really about format, but like kind of about format.
Okay, I'm interested to see because I thought for sure you were going to do it about the T1 stuff. So I don't know. Anyway,
Do we have a question on the format? Because I can mention one thing quickly.
We got some format takes. We got this is pretty good topic list going right now about world stuff. We got like
We can get into it
4 or
then.
5 people in the waiting room. Wait, I think people are leaving the waiting room. I've definitely pulled more than 4 people. You motherfuckers.
We're jabbering for so long that they're like, "Fuck it, I'm out. I'm just gonna go home."
Hey, if I pull you in the waiting room, you leave. I'm gonna.
No, Raz, if you appreciate me asking that question, then you will appreciate the conversation back and forth with Needham and I on this thing.
The fact that he accepted that interview is good too.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on it is he was very candid in the interview about a lot of stuff. I'm curious to see how the community reacts to his interview. I hope they don't flame him because I thought it was a really good interview. In fact, I think it was one of the best that I've had in my career. And but I don't know. It's always hard to predict how the community's going to react because I feel like they're just going to hear stuff that they don't want to hear, and then they'll just get angry about it. Which is fine, I guess. But yeah.
Just given how little communication we've had before, it would be like if it goes poorly in Global's eyes and they're like, all right, never mind, we just won't do interviews again. You're like,
right,
no, wrong lesson.
Right, exactly. Like that's a big. We also have that conversation in the interview where I'm like, hey, listen, the League and other parts of Riot communicate to their community a lot. You guys don't normally. Why is that? There's just a lot of stuff in there. So it'll be good.
I will say just quickly then, because there's a lot of. So I'm clearly on the side of double-elim. But I'm open to the idea that a new format can exist that can make me happy, regardless. This Worlds was probably a good example. Okay, this Worlds is probably a good example of like if we had double-elims, we probably would have been robbed of.
Well, don't steal the take from what.
Okay, fuck. You're right. We move on.
The last thing I'll also say, not about the interview, but about something else. As I'm teasing content coming out this week, well, it'll probably come out next week actually, but I had a chance to do surprise test with a bunch of cool people. Some of them including Billy and Dom.
Mr. Beast.
No, I tried to get Mr. Beast. I'll tell that story in a second. Billy and Dom, and from who are Merry and Pippin from Lord of the Rings, and also Porter Robinson and his partner are also in the surprise test. So it's a celebrity surprise test. I walked
Travis.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You go first, and I follow.
Why are you? It seems like you're face palming. I tried to get Porter.
No. It's a dumb question. It's a dumb question.
I tried to get Mr. Beast, and his manager walked by, and he's like, "Oh, what are you guys filming?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing this. Also, I'd be down to do it with Mr. Beast because like I've gotten Porter and these guys." And he's like, "I'd be down if it wasn't such a security issue." And I was like, "Oh, Riot could pull a security guard over." And he's like, "We had like 5 security guards escorting us in, and it was still touch and go." So. I did not get a chance to grab Mr. Beast, but that would have been really fun. I did end up in the suite that he was in for a second, but I did not lock eyes. I figured I should look away and not breathe in his general direction.
That makes sense.
Have you seen the interview of like when Lord of the Rings was filming? I think it's Pippin asking Frodo about the wigs.
It's Mary.
Thing.
It's Dom Monahan. Here, it's so funny. Somebody said to him,
"Oh yeah."
Everybody always gets them mixed up. And somebody yells, "Oh my God, it's Pippin!" And Dom goes, "No, it's Mary." He's like, "This always happens."
Do you know the interview I'm talking about?
Yes, the dolphin. You were yeah.
The dolphin?
It's where Dom is interviewing Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's a line in there where he's like, "You were in Splash, the dolphin movie, and the dolphin's dead."
Wrong. The wigs.
Yes, it's the same interview, Mark.
I know, but the one that people talk about is the wigs thing. You're talking about dolphins.
They talk about both, my friend.
I know, but
they've both been viral on TikTok lately.
Guys, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. Who's Elijah Wood?
Brandy Wine River in the chat says there are 2 TikTok sounds, one about wigs, one about Splash. Both have TikTok sounds that are viral.
The wigs one's the only one people care about.
That's not accurate.
True.
All right, Twitch chat's starting to revolt. So, Chupacabra, if you're here for leaks, then you can fuck off because I do this show for all sorts of reasons.
Double-lifts joining
leaks are
G2.
only one of them.
If you don't believe me, just fucking check back here in a month. Double-lifts joining G2. Put it on Twitter, Reddit right now. We don't give a shit.
Okay. Anyway, should we grab our first caller?
Bjergsen's going with him. My Discord just broke when I said that. Like, I actually...
You're
I think
being
someone hacked
silenced.
me. Yeah, what the fuck is happening right now?
Holy shit.
Wait, maybe I'm good.
Okay, off mark goes. Thank you to a bunch of people who subbed, including Zemelkai, Smoke Dog for 3 years. Thank you, Smoke Dog. G2 Biased Caster, 1997. I bid you a brew. I love Kafafe and Papayar. Thank you for the subs. By the way, I just want to say, a lot of you came up to me throughout Worlds and said, like, oh, I'm a Twitch sub. And then you told me your name, and it was really fun to meet a lot of you in person. So, yeah. OGKush is here. OGKush, where are you calling from?
Hello, I am calling from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
North Carolina. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take was basically about single elim versus double elimination. I think that this Worlds is a testament to why there should not be double elimination bracket for the knockout stage. And I think that double elimination prevents Cinderella runs like DRX's from happening.
I will say that this is, I believe, a belief of at least some people within Riot who feel as though this World's validated their single elim thoughts. So
Yeah,
go ahead and
that was.
go ahead and
Oh, go on,
elaborate,
you go on.
Kush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I think that like there are certain things like draft preparation, like for example, like in Game 5, they banned the Lux away, leaving the Caitlyn up. They're like certain like adaptations that you can save in your pocket and whatnot, and you can get a lot from a series like on matchup wise and whatnot that favors more experienced and better teams on average, at least in my opinion. And so I think that like puts teams like DRX, who definitely peaked at the right time, at a disadvantage. So yeah.
Mark, you okay back there? You look like you're. That's about the
Oh,
biggest
my-
face palm I've
I
ever seen.
No, my Discord is just freaking out. I had to reboot it in the middle of that, but I think I got the gist of the call.
Sure.
Raz, you want to go first or should I?
I can go first. Because thank God you pulled this, because that was kind of what I was getting into, and I would have ruined it a little. Yeah, this
Yeah, I
world
figured I'd get it out of the way.
This was perfect in explaining why single limbs could work because of that Cinderella run.
Mark,
Jesus Christ, get a hold of yourself, Mark Zimmerman. All right, I see what you're trying to do.
He's just dying over there. Somebody help Mark.
Bro,
He's dying.
laughing so hard I kept misclicking the mute button. So I was trying to, then you made me start laughing. I kept fucking missing the mute button, just coughing in the microphone as I'm trying to mute.
That's amazing.
We're back. We're back. We're back doing this stuff online again, and it's already off the rails. Okay.
But yeah, so like 100%, this is probably the best example of this, because Gen G, you know, definitely Chovy probably has his worst series that I've ever seen him having. Like, he choked in a lot of situations, and if he had that back, they could have gone far. Dom1, definitely with how well they played, hilariously enough, versus Gen G, they could have made a lower bracket run. They were getting better and better as a team. And you can make the case for JDG, but at the end of the day, like, double elimination actually would have ruined this storyline. And what Needham said was true, that there are more stakes if you lose one series. Now, do I still value double elim? Yes, I think double elim is still better, but it is a harder conversation. It's not a black and white. And if they do find a way to change the format where group stage is more meaningful, plains is not complete like dog water, unless if you have like all of the competitive regions going in there, and it's not a travesty for the lower regions.
We don't use that
like
word.
If you have the format just drastically better and you keep single elimination, I'll be happy. I'll be marginally happy. I still think we should have a double elimination, but like, you're right. We had the best finals because DRX, once again, credit to DRX. They got better throughout the split, throughout the tournament, and they got better throughout the split. But literally, Gen G and T1 played really bad. Gen G in particular, like Chovy played poorly, Zayas played poorly while also giving away Aatrox. And then even in the one game, like the what's it called? I rewatched the game. game 1, where they won through DRX, of course, making a few mistakes, losing first Drake to Varus Q, fucking up the Rift Herald fight, but at the end of the day, camping the Yone lane and making Yone like the focus, and he was performing really well until you lost Flash. Anyways, I'm going into the nitty gritty, but I think that was a really randomly risky strategy when Aatrox was broken, and one of the biggest lessons that teams learned throughout quarterfinals and groups was to just ban or first pick Aatrox, and they tried to be way too cute. Versus Kingun, who was performing well. So I agree with the caller. But I want double-elim.
So I don't agree with this take because it's just assuming that DRX wasn't good. And to Raz's point about like, oh, these other teams didn't play cleanly, like, excuse me, did you watch what happened to DRX? Like, they could have 3-1 this series if they played correctly from all the winning positions they were in. In game 1, they lost 3 objectives that they should have owned. They lost 2 dragons and first herald, like you said. They lost how many smites to Baron? Like just crazy, insane shit.
Like ass.
Yeah, Pioshik played bad too. So like for people who are like coping, like, oh, T1 just played bad. I'm like, did you see all the mistakes DRX made and still won? Like, come on. So like, I see what you're saying. Like, there's a possibility that if you put a lower bracket on, Genji comes from the bottom and ends up winning. But like, why is that not hype? Like a team that chokes and then has to bounce back through losers is hype. Like lower bracket runs, if you've watched any tournament, is awesome in other esports. Like the lower bracket run is its own thing. And it's not like those tournament scenes that do lower bracket don't have underdog stories. So I think there's this really like false dilemma being created, a false dichotomy where it's like, well, if you put lower bracket on, you can't have underdogs. And it's like, what? That happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, lower bracket is the underdog, really. Like when you have somebody re-meet each other again.
To be fair here, this wasn't just a Cinderella story that people really cared about. It was the narrative was actually pretty thick around Deft, that everyone was talking about, the fact that he's like never won a world championship, that Carrier is going up against his former teammates. I think this one was like, there were so many reasons for people to care about this team that it wasn't like, let's say Genji comes back and wins it through a lower bracket run. That's still exciting in the sense that like they made the mistake earlier, but people can like easily rewrite that and be like, well, they were, a seed 1 team, really like
but my point is like mistake. One, just like DRX was not the entire tournament. They ended up winning, so they ended up getting the final thing. But we have watched years upon years of fucked up brackets too. So like, I'm not gonna like hand wave like the last 10 years or since 2014 of fucked up brackets just because like one worked out ideally. Finally. Like, so for me, that's like, okay, KTIG, great. We played finals and fucking quarters because our seeding system sucks. But also like, if that single back hit Nexus was a 5-game series, like how many times have we had the finals and semis, Rocks versus T1, you don't want to watch that again. Like there's so many times where a lower bracket gives you extra storylines. It's not like they disappear. You just get a different story. And I think people like really struggle with this concept of like, oh, well then the things in the upper bracket suddenly don't matter. It's like, no, they still matter, but they just feed into other stories as well, like lower bracket runs. People saying TI, but like, Jesus, I watched a lot of fighting games too, dude. Like there's insane lower bracket runs that happen all the time in other esports.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was like, yes, completely agree. Oh, you go ahead. I think.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think the funny thing is, anybody who claims that Riot just tries to give like PR answers on stuff is not paying attention to this, because they are giving like an obviously honest answer where they're just like, we feel this way, so we're doing it, when there are actually way better answers to give that I think would satiate people at least a little bit more. Like, for instance, you could say, Worlds, one of the things we love about Worlds is the fact that whenever we go to different regions, we can travel around between cities. And running a double elimination tournament creates a lot more logistical issues in running through and traveling between all these different cities and scheduling. And we've thought about it before, but like this is actually a much bigger challenge for us. And so until we can solve for that, like we're not ready. Or you could say, we think bracket resetting is really difficult, and it would feel really bad if we didn't reset the bracket. And yet it also feels odd to have our finals day be potentially 10 games and presents also logistical and production issues and nightmares for us. And so we're not going to do it until we can solve for this bracket reset situation. And so we're always looking at it, but until we get solved for that, whatever. These are like actual, maybe not everybody would like be fine with those answers, but like they're at least, in my opinion, reasonable answers. But instead they're like, nah, we don't like it. And so it's
Yeah,
very
they just
funny
go
to
like
me.
other traditional sports don't do it, and it's like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the reason.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
like,
that's what pisses people off just as much. Because like I'm trying to just state the reasons for double elim. I'm like Raz. I like double elim more. I don't think seal like the problems with worlds are mostly around seeding in group stage and play-ins, and like
Yeah.
there's like double elim honestly is like fourth on my list of like problems with worlds
Yeah.
like to fix. So like for me, not getting double elim is not the end of the world if they fix the other problems. But like the thing is, if you had double elim this whole time, it also would have fixed a bunch of the other problems that we have historically had with really improper seeding of bracket stage and stuff like that.
that's
So
the funny.
I would
Go ahead, Raz.
I would have double limb as probably my highest issue or second highest because playing is such a weird one that I feel like that has to be addressed. So maybe that's higher. But for double limb, a lot of the times answers for random seeding and group stage. I think it's so hard in the current formation of group stage, or even I don't even like any foreseeable group stage formation to have like quote unquote proper seeding. And a lot of the times, like even just team matchups being improper, like let's just say, oh, you're going up against a team that is topside heavy, like JDG being more of a team that plays through 369, and be like, okay, that's just a really bad matchup for us. I'm just talking hypothetically. A lot of the times, double elimination just changes that, so you actually get a better chance to really show how strong you are as a team. So like, I think it's really high up. I am playing just to make it clear to YouTube video viewers or just any viewers, I'm playing a little bit of a devil's advocate approach and even like giving single elimination a chance because to the caller's point, this is literally the best example of single elimination working because yes, you can find other storylines. You can always find another storyline from a team that has gone through the lower bracket. Like you're right, Mark. But this one is like the team, like DRX just has the thickest storylines regardless of where if they get thrown in a lower bracket or anything. Like their team being thrown up against T1 was just probably the best storyline you can get.
Yeah.
That being said, I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be a sweep. I just thought and it wasn't a sweep. So it's like so many things came into play.
I'm with Mark on this. Like the very funny thing is I'm not even like, oh, we must do double limb. Somebody came up to me at the after party and told me that in China apparently they think of me as like the double limb guy. And there was another person at Riot that was like, man, you're just like the double-elim champion guy or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not even that. I just asked because the fans want it. And like, I don't think the reasoning to date has been particularly good. So like, I'm going to follow up on it. But I'm not like, Mr. We must go to double-elims or else Worlds is a fraud type thing. It's just very funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did the caller?
I mean,
Colin wanted to say something, right?
oh yeah, caller can go something before I give my final thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I'm totally with you, Mark, about the issue with seedings. That's like a really glaring issue, and obviously that doesn't change whether you have single or double elimination. But I think the biggest problem for League of Legends with having double elimination is the finals. The finals reset feels really bad for the winner side because so like in fighting games like Melee, for example, like double elim is awesome for that, and it like it's super hype having those loser bracket runs, but it's obviously more
Yeah, the bracket reset is a big thing we couldn't do.
Yeah, the two BO5s, like you can do two BO5s in the same day, but like yeah, it feels so bad for the winners because there's no way you're doing two best of fives for League of Legends. So
let me ask you this. Do you watch any of the regional leagues, LEC, LCS, or LPL? And like, how do you feel about their finals? Like, after you watch a finals, you're like, that was dumb, or are you like, that was cool?
Yeah, I mean, it's no, I do watch the regional ones, and it's like fine. Like I still think it feels bad for the team that made in the winners bracket. But it's like I'm kind of like neutral about it. It just feels like I don't know why it doesn't. I'll be honest, it doesn't really make sense. It feels like different for it being the world's title than the regional ones. Maybe that's because it's LCS and LCS titles don't seem to really matter. But anyways, it just
Mark, give your
my
final
opinion,
thoughts because we have to move on. We've been talking about this for a long time.
The only thing I'll say is I think double-elim. I understand people who want like really high stakes and whatnot, but double-elim I think adds a lot of extra storylines too. Like for example, JDG could have made a lower bracket run, and they're like the black sheep of the LPL. Everyone hates them, no one likes them, and here they are, the last hope. They get knocked out, they go losers bracket. Maybe it's T1 that they have to claw through. Then they have to claw through Gen G, and then they have to claw through DRX, who was sitting in winners finals. You know, like you can get really insane storylines with losers brackets and stuff. And like my biggest problem is like this was a great Worlds. Single limb looked fantastic here, but we've had single limb for 8 years, and there's been a lot of years where it was not great. And so the nice thing about double elim is it's an easy fix for some of the other problems that we've had where teams get knocked out too early because the bracket play was terrible. But if we fix that, I'm more okay with it. And that's my final thought. Like that's the stuff that really needs to get fixed is how you set the bracket up.
Thank you so much. Rez, speed run it.
Can I have a final thought too, Mr. Gafford?
Speed run it. We've been talking about this for like 25 minutes or something.
God. Okay, I'll be quick. We literally have other leagues and other games that have double elim without having that in the finals. Like we don't have to focus that much on the FGC. Like remember, like if you're in the upper bracket, you are playing less games. You had the second chance throughout. Like you're still getting a major benefit of being in the upper bracket. Making a lower bracket run is not just some random like buff or success to have. So I think having a double elim without a best of 10 finals is not something crazy. It's happened consistently, especially in Valorant, which has just a much better format. So
Kush, thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, so shout out to Dorado Gaming Esports, amateur esports organization I'm a part of. Shout out to Blobby, and shout out to my wife. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Shout out also to Alienware, our first sponsor of the evening. Love Alienware. I used my X14 notebook the entirety of Worlds. I actually brought my X17 as well. I love the X17 a lot, but I actually didn't even really open it or turn it on because of how awesome I was able to do so much of my work off this X14. This thing is thin and it is easy to carry, and everyone who sees it gives me a ton of compliments on it, or they're like, what is that, or whatever. I even had during the live show, because I'd have it out in front of me, and there were a couple people who went to the live show to watch the shows, and they were like, by the way, that laptop, that's like an Alienware laptop or whatever. People are very surprised at how awesome this notebook is. So I just want to give that a huge shout out because I was able to do that all across Worlds. We also were able to put out a ton of awesome 4K footage content because of the M15 that Drew, my shooter editor, was able to use throughout all of it. So thank you so much to Alienware for powering our coverage of Worlds. It's been fantastic to have them as a partner. They really, really help with everything that I do, and I cannot thank them enough. So thank you all. Please do me a favor, go to alienware.com/Travis and take a look if there's something that you're interested in purchasing, especially if you're in the US and you purchase even like a Black Friday deal, which I know is coming up and all that stuff. Buying through that link is very helpful for me because we do see that revenue come back to us in some shape or form. So thank you so much to Alienware for supporting Travis Gafford Industries, and thank all of you for supporting Alienware. All right, we're off to the next caller. Mark Zimmerman is grabbing them. Thank you to some other folks that are supporting us. 1997, let's see, Micro, Seaman Demon. Thank you all for the subs. Really appreciate it. We're climbing.
Micro Seaman Demon.
We're climbing back up. We're climbing back up. Hello, Raz. Is that signed? Is that a chair that's signed by people?
Oh, the chair that I have?
Yeah.
Nah, it's not.
Okay.
It was actually just an extra chair they had, and I was like, I'm getting that chair.
Gotcha.
My old one that I got from Golden Guardians was definitely.
I feel like you
out.
had a great Worlds experience because you left the broadcast at a certain stage, and then you just got to go do cool things, like the Crown Pusha T thing, the MasterCard stuff. Like you were just basically doing like all the celebrity party stuff.
I did not expect it. The Pusha T thing was insane. that was like a hosting thing that I had really loved. And then yeah, I did a lot of work when I was in San Francisco, which is like, you want to enjoy yourself a little bit, but so my voice is gone from both yelling in front of a camera and then yelling for deft. This is what it is, guys.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy 2 days for myself and others. I know, but still really fun. Looks like Kyle is here. Kyle, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
From Charlotte, North Carolina?
Yep.
Nice. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Hey, my take was I thought it was disappointing how little LCS teams capitalized on Worlds being in NA, especially, and how they had the opportunity to go out to venues and see the fans. And I personally went to semis in Atlanta, and I saw zero representation from any of the teams.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit in Atlanta, or maybe we were mostly talking about content. Mark, if I can recall. Mark,
I don't
were you
remember
paying attention to anything that was just happening?
Yeah, no, I was trying to remember because we've done a lot of shows. I was trying to remember the Atlanta one. I know we had a content one in San Francisco, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I've talked about it a lot at this point in time, but I agree. I don't know, Raz, we haven't had your thoughts on this yet. What do you think about the lack of teams? Because I think all the world stops, we had CLG at the first one. 100T did like a random one night thing that they announced like the day before. I don't think it was really significant. Golden Guardians were at finals, and then Team Liquid also showed up there a little bit. And then I think somebody did something offsite at finals as well. I forget which team.
Yeah, I mean, I was assuming we would hone this one in on finals in particular, since that has what occurred since the last time we talked about this.
Yeah, except Travis asked me because I had nothing to. I had never talked about it, Mark.
Go for it.
Go for it, Raz. This is your platform.
I was making fun of Travis for saying like, "Oh, well, we've talked about this before," as if shit hasn't happened between the last time we had this conversation.
True. And I usually make fun of Travis with you, but I appreciate him checking it. For me, yeah, I mean, I'm probably just gonna. You know what? You should have not even asked me. I was gonna echo literally everything. It is disgusting. It's disgusting for me because for those teams, like a lot of credit to CLG that did it in the New York leg because yes, they're bases in New York, but like it was nice that they were able to do something like that. Team Liquid had finals, as you already mentioned. Like, oh, this is great, and I don't think you have to put much resources into it. You really don't, in my opinion. Even if it's just something that's online where you are trying to at least have some form of project in front of people, a giveaway that's dedicated to the finals, or having one person. I know, I think it was at your New York leg, Travis, that somebody said that made the comparison with who is it? FlyQuest couldn't go to Worlds, so they literally had a reporter specifically Wild
Turtle.
Yeah, Turtle that went and did it. Just anything to show that you care and that you're not just like full taking the split off and focusing on next year, because fans literally care about this shit. That's how you win new fans, is by being in front of them and having any initiative to showcase that you care about that product. I think it was pretty wild.
That's one thing. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it. No, you go.
Yeah, just kind of going off that. I went with a friend that we've been watching since like 2016, but this was our first event we could have gone to, and we've seen what they've done at like LCS finals in person. So we had like high hopes, especially what we saw in Houston online was like EG's touch grass boost. We thought, oh, there's gonna be some cool materialistic stuff there. But when we went there, even Riot was kind of a little bit of a letdown personally, but I know that's not my take.
You're talking about the Atlanta.
There's only one Riot merch.
Right?
Sorry?
You're talking about Atlanta part. The Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm talking about Atlanta, but like there's like only one merch booth and like 2 claw machines. There's just no representation from any team at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we saw a little bit more from the teams. I wasn't really at the Atlanta leg of it, so I couldn't tell what happened on that front. Also, Evil Genius is having the video. I mean, I'm not mentioning it because I'm just a part of it, but I was like, okay, you made a video because your team was there. It's a hype project. You're kind of hyping it up. So like you're doing something for World to that it. And not a lot of, I don't even remember, maybe I'm wrong. Did C9 or 100 Thieves do something like hyping up their team going at the event, like an actual project?
There was virtually no content from any of the teams. Like EG did that hype video, but then didn't put out any behind the scenes content. I mean, like this is something that the LCS Superfan crew has been talking about a lot, where like these people want to be fans of these players, try to be fans of these players, and then there's just no content that features these players at Worlds.
Yeah, so it's sad. Not much I can say about that.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Mark, thoughts?
Yep, big agree.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for the call.
Thank you.
I think at this point in time, here's the thing. I am fatigued of talking about this a little bit just because it's so fatiguing that they aren't doing anything. And I don't know. It is just aggravating. It's so aggravating that the LCS is struggling, and it feels like the teams are not there to try to lift it up. And it's not even at this point in time just like the teams that you expect it from, like fucking Dignitas. It's the teams that you would expect better from. And
here's the thing, like, speaking of Dignitas, during the split, you don't have to put much resources. You don't need the players. You just need to showcase effort. So good examples, like during the split when Dignitas didn't have much of a content side, or really weren't funding much into anything, not gonna lie. I gave credit to, I think this was a spring split, to somebody named Bobbin, who was like their socials guy, who would always come in with new ideas. Like, he was the guy with the poster when there was no one in the studio. I think this was maybe last year. Maybe this was last year. But he came in with posters when we were close to a milestone for one of the players. He was our contact, so we could do something really cool with them. Like, you just need, Bobby is goated. Like, just having somebody from the content side that is empowered to just do whatever the fuck he wants and is able to push for something. Because if you don't have money, no one really cares as long as you showcase some level of effort and willingness to do something. And not a lot of teams.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle, for the call. And anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to all the Southeast gamers like me who finally got to go to in-person event for the first time, and shout out to the Twitter gamers who fought the writers back on Twitter that said Miami counted as the Southeast, because it does not.
Very good. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Off Mark goes to get the next person. Some quick shout outs to Boder Michael, Nemsek with the tier 2, 63 months, Zachary GG, Just Do Your Job, Gaiden TV, and Sethipu. Gaiden for 47 months, my gosh. Very good. And Mark is back with Colin. Colin, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Fort Myers, Florida.
Fort Myers, Florida. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about how Worlds teams, especially once the playoff teams, semifinalists, finalists, should bring, if they're not allowed to, I don't know if that's true, bring their challenger teams with them for better practice rather than playing against, in this year's case, a mishmash of NA players. For example, DRX scrimmed against, I have a picture here, 1 second, CLG Dokla, EG Tomio, Pole Belter, Arrow, and Diamond. And SKT, I don't believe I know who they scrimmed against, but Baker said also a mishmash of North American players.
Yeah, they were
a McDonald's team.
Yeah, the McDonald's team, right? Yeah.
They had a medium fry, 10-piece chicken nugget, Big Mac, and Shamrock Shake.
Essentially, the practice that they would receive from scrimming their challenger teams for practice over an NA team of random players that have never played together, if not played very much, I think would be very substantial. The team chemistry would be a big one for one, like the macro. These players don't play together. And then secondly, I would probably take anyone on T1's challenger team over Diamond, Arrow. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think this is interesting. You said something about how you don't know if they could or if they would be allowed to or not. There's nothing that would stop them from just like flying their team to a hotel in Chicago and putting them up there and having them play against people on the North America, like through the North American server, right? So, or I guess even through like the tournament.
You would have to get. I was gonna say you have to get tournament realm access for them. You might not be able to, but
yeah, I guess you would need to do that.
I was gonna say, I know Riot. Probably, I'm pretty sure they only fly like the team, the coaching staff, and 2 subs. And
well, I don't even know if Riot flies them anymore. I think that's the teams arrange their own travel.
Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, a team like T1, I think, has more than enough resources to fly their challenger team out with them as well.
Yeah. definitely. I mean, it's not a resource issue. Like that's what I'm saying is I guess maybe the bottleneck would be the tournament realm, but
No,
I
they would
don't
give
know.
him access. They would give him access.
I think they would.
yeah.
I mean, Chronicler, the biggest insider, is saying that the Challengers League players are generally pretty young and might not provide that much better practice, maybe. And they're 17, so it might be hard to get them into the country for visas or something. I don't know. Anyways, I think the whole situation is just awkward because like how big the gap is between semis and finals. And it is like the whole traveling around the country question and like the format again, but like it does feel really weird where like your two finalists are just like scrimming random people, just trying to get better at that point. Because it's so spread out that literally everyone else has gone home. So I think it is always a little weird when you hear these stories that like, how you guys gearing up for the big game? And it's like, this is how.
I think one of the questions too is I don't even know how much practice they're able to get during this time though. Like I know they were scrimming some, but like they're also doing these videos to prepare for finals and they're doing all this different stuff. Like I guess even if they're scrimming just a little bit, like at what point in time does it become worth it to be scrimming the academy or challenger team or whatever versus like McDonald's teams? I think that's the question. Is it like 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours versus how much are they actually able to get? I think that's at least a decent question.
Yeah, I understand the heart of the question, which is just like, I think the problem is that even if you bring in your challenger roster, it's not good enough to actually give you what you want, which is a competitive practice. Maybe there's a level. I don't know any of these academy teams, and I mean, Chronicler would probably be the best one for this one. But my main thing is like maybe laning phase wise, but outside of that, you're still gonna have pretty ass practice, and that's always been the case for finals. Outside of maybe like, finals in which you have a gauntlet format or LCS with the finals quote unquote weekend where you have 3 teams waiting, so maybe just one team gets fucked. But that's always going to be the problem. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think the format makes it a little awkward. Plus, like, if you're in China or Korea, sometimes some of those teams will still play. Like, I think everyone was scrimming Damwon back in like 2019 or whenever it was in Korea, and they were scrimming because Damwon was still a challenger team or whatever, and everyone's like, "Holy fuck, these guys are blasting like the world's finalists."
2018, I think,
in scrims. Yeah,
and it may not seem like it because sorry, you go your point. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that, like, unless it's like that kind of situation, realistically, you're not getting good scrims, and that's a very rare situation.
Yeah, and I think that generally people will just like shit down a lot of the North American players' like throats and say that hey, they're worse significantly. I've seen, and this is just, I don't know how Chronicler feels, but like watching LDL and Challengers Korea, dude, the macro is just so insanely bad. Like, it does not compare, even if it's a mishmash of players that we had in the LCS. At least, like the players that you mentioned, or at least veteran players that I have faith in, at least the mid game would be proper. Though I'm sure they would get blown out of the water, right? They're going up against the best teams in the world. But if we're making a comparison between a Challengers Korean team and that team, which is obviously hypothetical that you can never really substantiate, having watched at least some of the Challengers Korean teams, but for sure more LDL teams, it's just the mid game, late game macro is probably the worst shit. It's not going to be helpful.
Last question here, Colin. If scrimming Dokla, Tomio, Pobelter, Arrow, and Diamond was such bad practice for DRX, why were they losing to Dokla, Tomio, Pobelter, Arrow, and Diamond?
Do you have insider information on the scrim results?
I'm looking at the same tweet that Pobelter put out.
It's the one that Pobelter put out. It was the one. It was one of the scrims that they won.
I didn't see that one.
Travis is memeing. They didn't win that often. They weren't like shitting on them.
We don't know.
We have
the only evidence we have. I haven't even seen any screenshots of a defeat score screen.
Oh my
from these people. So all I see right now is victory 1, defeat 0.
I mean, people are like, wow, Kingen got so good all of a sudden. I wonder what happened. Got big doked in lane phase
Let's
for a week.
look
And
at
he's like,
fucking
shit.
Chronicler in chat copiuming his mind out by saying, "Cause it's scrims, lol." Yeah, right, Chronicler. You as if Dokla, Tobio, Pobelter, Arrow, and Diamond wouldn't shit on
Look at-
DRX if they were in the LCK.
Look at this fucking guy, dude. Zeka going 0-6 is definitely not happening in a normal game. Yeah, because Pobelter's not there to shit on him in most games.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
Oh,
believe this.
Chovy, oh no. Faker, oh no.
Oh, Chronicler. Whatever you need to tell yourself, man. I think we know the superior region. Okay, Colin, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Yes, I just quickly want to say, I think Team Liquid should sign these guys then if what you're saying is true.
Well,
Boom!
But yeah, I like to shout out Grubhub. I'm Canadian and we don't have Grubhub in Canada, but I'm currently on vacation in Florida and I've
Do
been
you guys-
using your code as much as I can.
oh, thank you.
Wait. What part of Canada?
Ontario, like near Toronto.
Damn, there's way too many Ontarians out here. I appreciate that though.
But I work out in Alberta, so.
Oh, let's go!
It
We
doesn't
got
help
some-
me, but I will say they have the Canadian version of Grubhub is skip the dishes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I use that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Thank you so much to Colin for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Who we got next? Mark goes off to get them. Thank you to Pluto7443 and Sethipu for the subs. Really appreciate it. We're
Shout out.
rebuilding the sub collection. What's up? Treethan is here. Treethan making his return. Were you in Brooklyn? What show were you on?
The one at OS and the one at that
Cutting room.
weird bar thing.
It was not a weird
place.
bar thing. It was actually my favorite venue we had.
Oh no, it was sick, but like
Yeah.
I just forget the name.
Cutting room. Yes.
Dude, where's that?
It was in New York.
Oh, nice.
I think I invited you, and then you probably went to go see Hamilton. You fuck.
No, I
Okay.
did not. That was way too much money. Who the hell is paying that much to see it play, guys?
Exactly.
Everyone who doesn't live in New York.
True.
Treethan, what do you want to
Hello.
talk about on the show?
So I would like to talk about how the whole format change thing that Needham was talking about was horrible. Esports needs to stop being real sports.
Traditional.
Valorant
Is that what I pulled you for?
or is it the other one?
It was the other
Probably
one.
the other one.
Oh, okay. The this world being the world's best one. This year
Yes.
being the best worlds.
Say it.
Is
Okay.
yeah, this year's being the best worlds ever is great for NA, and then you
Okay.
listed a bunch of reasons why.
Got it.
That one, yeah.
Why? Okay, so this year being the best worlds ever is great for NA. Why? Wow, I can't talk right now. With a bunch of North American players in attendance this year, and of course people watching all over the region at a good time zone, will begin a new era in pro player motivation to win it all. Therefore, this next season will be the best LCS year yet. I can't talk because I'm tired. I'm sorry.
All right. I don't know who's got
Copium.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna say, I
okay.
don't
You're
know
just OD'd.
Chronicler or
Honestly,
Treethan
yeah.
are higher on the copium right now. Okay. So, do you want to elaborate at all, Treethan, or are you resting your case? I think it's a good.
Honestly,
elaboration. I'm not
yeah,
getting into it.
I did kind of rest it there. I'm just
Okay.
still in shock from Worlds.
So before we go into the topic hardcore, I will say, I don't know about the pro players. This Worlds did a lot for me. I really, really, really liked this Worlds. It felt so good to produce a lot of really great content from it. I thought the stories were fantastic. Man, having Worlds in North America, I had forgotten. Before this, I remember people asking me what my favorite Worlds was, and it was 2016. And I think just having it in North America, it's so good for our region. Like, so many fans come
Yeah.
out, so many people get really excited about it. Obviously, I'm disappointed that teams were not there to capitalize on all this, or in a lot of cases, teams were not there, most cases. But even just like for myself as a creator in the space and somebody who's really excited about League of Legends, like meeting so many of you, seeing these games in person, seeing stadiums filled out, all that stuff, like Houston and Chicago were really appetizers to this thing, and it's a meal that I think will sustain me for at least another couple of years. So I really, really feel like, at least for me personally, this Worlds was very helpful and very good and very inspiring. And I think it'll do a lot for the space in little ways. Now, does that mean that our players are going to get better? I'm gonna let Mark answer that question if he's paying attention.
I am
No, he
paying
is.
attention. I don't know if it'll make it better for players, but I think it is good for trying to get people into it. Like we saw people on the show, like Delfino, was that's her name, right?
Yeah, I just go
bringing
with
her
Delphi.
friends and
Yeah.
Delphi, whatever. People bringing their friends and stuff. Like it's much easier to get them to go to an event like this or watch an event like this when it's in your time zone and it's like local or something. There are a lot of people who were attending stuff who didn't even have tickets. I know, so like I thought it was really cool, and I think it can have an impact on player base and like how excited people are. I know, like I felt the same kind of like rejuvenation that you probably felt. I think a lot of people probably felt that. So I think it'll be positive. I don't know if it'll like save LCS or like save in air quotes. Like suddenly we're entering the second era of LCS, but I do think it should. I would think have a effect.
I mean, it did so much to prove that like the fandom, like there are a lot of League of Legends esports fans in North America, and I don't know how many of them are LCS fans right now, but like we can fill out Chase Stadium just fine with people who are by and large from North America. Like the rumors of League esports being dead in North America, I think are greatly over exaggerated. It's just a matter of like fine tuning LCS so that we can recapture a lot of this. Raz, what are you gonna say?
That caused road shows, do you guys think? If you don't mind me cutting in.
You want road shows?
Well, no. Would you think a road show situation would cause what you just said to happen sooner?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you. I actually am not a believer. Like I know this is like a David Shynock crusade. He wants every show to be traveling to New York every 5 minutes, but yeah, I don't think road shows are super important. I do think it would be cool if we had LEC's like rumored 3 split system where we
For more
have 3
tournaments,
road
yeah.
shows a year. I think that could be really good for the league, and I think it would be good if
that's
we
what
had
I more meant. Yeah,
international tournaments here more frequently, because I don't remember even the last MSI we had in North America, and then obviously League has been forever, so I think that suffers. But yeah, I don't think that like the LCS needs to do frequent.
What is the
road
last?
shows.
Have we ever had MSI after like Tallahassee?
I think Tallahassee was the last one, and that was what,
someone
2015?
willingly set up an event in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god!
Controversial at the time. I
2015. Where was MSI in 2015?
It was. I think 2015
Is
was
that-
Tallahassee, right?
Is that Tallahassee?
I'm pretty sure, because I think they did 2014 was All Stars in Paris, and then I think the very first MSI was Tallahassee. That was like the EDG one, right?
Yeah. Okay, everyone's saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So like, we haven't had MSI fucking ever. You know, like to this point, I think NA has been pretty underserved, and I wonder. I mean, I don't know. I assume it's not as important as having like a good product that people enjoy watching week over week. But it is fair to say that we have been the most starved region of the major regions for in-person events.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And this
then
goes
you
to
schedule them all at
Canadian
bad
tour.
time zones too, right? So
Yeah, the time zone's horrible.
Yeah, MSI Canadian Tour. Do that.
Also, I was always told, and I never checked this because I'm a fucking idiot. You know, like we were always told, like, oh, the NA time zone is terrible for the entire world. It's fucking fine. It's like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning for China and Korea. Like,
I'm pretty sure World Finals started at 8 a.m., which is not great. Like 8 a.m. China.
I heard it
time.
was 9 and 10.
I mean,
what I
they have
heard.
a very large country, so I don't know, but
Yeah, it's gonna roll.
yeah.
But like, no, it's way earlier.
Says
When
Chronicler.
Chronicler, when did the actual Worlds games start for you?
I mean, New York started at 5 or 6. Yeah, but was it just the 3 a.m. or the 3 p.m. shows that were starting at 5 or 6?
Well, New York
Chronicler?
is 3 hours ahead, so that's why those ones were bad. Because when it started on the West Coast at 5 or 6, that's 3 hours later.
Yeah.
So that's 9
This is
a.m.
why
So-
it's just Chronicler.
5 p.m. for us, by the way, which is like the short quote unquote show time, is like 9 a.m. China time, and China only has like one time zone. Which
Well,
is
there you go.
hilarious.
Good for them.
Yeah, but the time zones are the big
Anyways,
reason. Time
yeah,
zones
yeah.
are
My-
the big reason. Okay, go.
Oh, sorry. I'm done.
You know what,
Shut up.
Raz? Why don't you say something? Mark's had
Thank
enough.
you, Travis. Let me talk, Travis. What's going on here?
Raz, can you get in the webcam? We can't. We can only see your hair when you do that.
That's basically my existence at this point.
Okay.
That's-
What were you gonna say? Say whatever you're gonna say.
I mean, yeah, we haven't had it since Tallahassee, but at the end of the day, like, time zones are literally the biggest issue. It's worse for us because every show is gonna be ass time zones for us. If it's in Europe, well, it's better actually. If it's in Europe, a little bit better. We'd have to wake up earlier, but then that would mean the show start is bad for us. Same if it's in China, same if it's in Korea, same if it's an MSI that's in Southeast Asia. Or in Iceland, which is Europe still. But like, it's so bad for us, and that's why I think Worlds was, and really agreeing with the caller on this one, was great for viewers, because we just had so many people that were coming in that were either kind of, casual viewers or, churned out viewers that were not really watching League anymore. They didn't really know what was happening, but like, we're interested because, hey, it's finally coming to North America and it's at a watchable hour if they're at home. Like, that means a lot to the fans. There were, yes, a lot of players that were rejuvenated because of initially Champions Queue, but also just because they can go and see Worlds themselves. I actually saw a lot of players who were traveling and watching in person too. If they weren't able to like come, be it through the team or whatever, they just bought their own tickets, things like this. And I think it was really cool. It was great for North America. That being said, will we ever get we'll probably get an MSI, but will we get another Worlds? It's going to take a long ass time for the same reason. I think there was a Reddit thread talking about how viewership was great in the finals, excluding China. Like, that's quite a market to exclude. You just excluded.
Viewership was great in 15% of the.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so to be fair, it's the first finals without a Chinese team in it in 3 years, anyways, 4 years. I forget what it
They would
is. So
still
like the
watch
numbers are going to be. Yeah, but the numbers are going to be bad, worse no matter what. It's not a fair comparison for the last 3 years. Be like, damn it, NA, why didn't you let JDG win? Like, the crowd fucking decided that.
But I mean, like, China are still watching it, so it's just a statistic that was just not used because obviously China makes it really hard to actually show give statistics. But if China's added to it, that's probably still worse based off timing alone. I was looking at Weibo and people were waking up to results. This one's 9 a.m. because the finals were later, like at a later time, so it's actually much more doable. But just throughout the entirety of Worlds, groups, quarters, it was lower viewership. So will we actually end up getting a Worlds again? At least in the next 5 years? No. But, it's still great for us that we got it. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I wouldn't be surprised if it was another big gap, but I think it's dumb if it is. Like,
But-
1 in every 4 years, other people take a little hit, and it's like not even that big of a hit if you plan it well, which they did to the point about like timing groups games. They put the Eastern games always on the last 3 of the day to make sure that like Europeans could watch it before they went to bed, and the other people could watch it if they wanted to wake up at like 8 o'clock, and it was like relatively reasonable. Viewership was down. That sucks for that portion, but then like obviously I think what this final showed was that like if you have a good tournament, people are going to watch the important games, and by a million more, like obviously the time zones aren't that fucking bad if we broke the record by over 1 million for the finals. So yeah, I don't know. If China is lower, I'm gonna blame their JDG sucking and them all not going very far in the tournament more than the time zone.
By the way, so MSI, I don't think this was ever announced, was going to be in Worlds in 2020. Or sorry, in Worlds in LA in 2020. They were going to hold it there, and then they never got to announce it because of this. This is something I know, and because of that, my prediction is, this is completely uninformed, but my prediction is that MSI is in North America in 2024, because I don't think they'll do it next year.
Back to back, yeah, no way.
I think Worlds is in Korea next year, because I think you can't do it in Europe because they did 2019 in Europe, and then they also got it in Iceland. And then you can't probably do it in China until you're like 100% that all the COVID stuff is like clear over there. And they're not going to do it in North America again. And I don't think they're going to put it in any other region. So I would predict Korea MSI, Korea Worlds, probably Europe MSI. And then I bet North America gets MSI in 2024. And I bet China is Worlds in 2024. That's my big prediction.
People in the chat are probably jokingly predicting O's. Can you imagine? That would be hilarious.
There'd be
I
like
don't-
3 people in the audience.
The time zone
No,
would be
are
amazing.
you kidding
though.
me? All the LPL is flying over there, dude.
Yeah,
China-
everyone's flying.
China and Korea are flying to Osh to watch those games for sure.
I mean, it's a good time zone for them. All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
Treethan, thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout
Of
out?
course. Raz, do you think Udoka should go to the Nets? I think no. It's a terrible idea.
I think he should. That'd be.
No!
I think he should.
I'm gonna kick you guys.
All right.
Do you think kicked? Raz, do you have any thoughts? You want to share on that topic?
On what topic? Nothing. No, of course not,
Get-
Mr.
Great,
Mark.
correct
I would
answer.
never. I would never.
Cool. By the way, wait, Mark, do we have at least one off-season take? Because if not, I feel like the audience is gonna revolt.
What kind of off-season take do you want? I said I didn't want an off-season take, and then you didn't say what you wanted. Then.
No,
What do you want?
I said we should have at least the majority of the thing be about Worlds. But I do have off-season in the stream title, so people are gonna get mad if we don't have at least one.
Well, what do you want to talk about? Tell me what take.
I don't
you
know.
want. I'll go
Everybody
find that
in the
take.
show, everybody go put off-season takes in pleb topics and subtopics.
No, there
and-
are off-season takes. I just haven't pulled them. I'm just asking, which one do you want? Do you want the contract jail? Do you want double lift rumors? Like, what do you want? What do you want?
Type everybody repeat your stuff into sub and plebs, and I will pull.
Look, I think the contract jail is juicy that we should talk about. But then, of course, like just so we have the reminder, like Reaper got let go, or I don't know if it's let go or let
30,000 LEC players got signed today.
30,000.
I don't think anybody got signed. Maybe announced.
30,000
Or, like,
rumored to be
rumored,
signed.
yeah,
There's quite a
Yeah,
few
or-
rumors.
yeah.
There's quite a few rumors.
Yeah.
There's one on Carzy.
The
going
dominoes
back to
falling
that.
already over there. It's not. Things are not falling over here yet. Okay, Mark, you want to grab
All of
our?
EG's coaching staff got booted.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a quick break. We're going to talk about Grubhub. Shout out to
All
Grubhub.
right, I'll pull you one, Travis, so that way you don't need to do anything.
Great, thank you. I never want to do anything. Shout out to Grubhub. Speaking of not doing anything, tonight I didn't want to go out and get my food, and I also didn't want to make it. So I ordered, you guessed it, Grubhub. They are a fantastic partner for us. We couldn't have done the TGI Worlds Tour without them. And we actually have still working right now. It's actually still, it goes all the way through November 18th. So you have a while to use this. TGI Worlds is our code right now to get $5 off your Grubhub order of $10 or more. Terms apply. You can use that link there to find out. But it's in the chat right now. And if not, we'll try to get that also into the YouTube description for you. But they've been an amazing partner. And if you would like, they actually sent us 50, you heard it right, 50 Masterwork chests to give out. Grubhub Masterwork chests, and that's in the giveaway that we're running right now. It ends in a couple hours, so if you didn't watch live, then you're screwed. But it's got 4 hours to go. But yes, Masterwork Hextech chest codes that are available on the North American server. Go sign up in that giveaway because I did not promote it enough. So your chances are actually pretty good because we're giving away, again, 50 of them, as well as some Chipotle codes. So thank you so much to Grubhub for sponsoring Worlds. What do you, Raz? Oh, Razpit is headset near the microphone, so I'm echoing. We're gonna have to mute him. I'm gonna mute him. Server mute. Okay. Anyway, thank you to Grubhub
Thank
for
you,
sponsoring
Grubhub.
and they've been a fantastic partner for us. Love you, Grubhub. All right, Mark, you want to grab the next? Well, I guess Raz is not back here yet. How you?
Raz,
Oh,
I saw him walking to the room.
okay, he's here. Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's got to put his
Raz, you
headset
left
on.
your headphones too close to the microphone, so I was just echoing.
Ah, shit, my bad. That's
It's
on me.
okay.
Sorry.
I unmuted you. Cool is here. Cool, where are you calling from?
Calling from Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take was that Faker's legacy as GOAT isn't really as cemented as it seems. I think people just have him as like the verbatim GOAT of all time. I think he really had the chance to kind of cement it this weekend. Like if he'd won again after like 9 years, it would have been a big deal. But I just feel like if you actually look at what Faker's done since like the dynasty kind of got dethroned in 2017, it hasn't been as impressive. And so I'm not saying he's washed. I think he's played like pretty good all year. I think maybe he didn't even have a great series, but I just feel like it wouldn't surprise me if in the next like decade you saw a player go on a run for like 3 or 4 years and maybe like win 2 or 3 worlds, and then all of a sudden like it's kind of debatable. I mean, like Barrel went to finals
So
3 years in a row and won 2. So
the phrase all time means like all time leading up to now. You can't like say all time also extends into the future, and that in the future somebody else.
Well, he to be fair to the caller, he said it's more in like people are acting like it's going to take 10 years before someone can take Faker's legacy, and he's just saying it's less secure than people might think.
I
that's the
read a
take.
stat on Twitter. I think that now Faker has won he's the player that's won the most worlds and also lost the most worlds, like in finals.
It's international performances.
Oh,
yeah.
international performance. That's right.
He's won 5 international finals, which is the most, and also lost the most with 4.
Like if that
I
doesn't
ask
describe like
caller?
I know it's funny because you think like, oh, the last thing that must means that like that's a discredit to him. I'm like, that no, that's like a huge credit. Like he's made that many finals at international events. Like
I would love to lose a world finals, let me tell you.
yeah, exactly.
Could we ask the caller to, to tag your socials, open his DM?
Absolutely not.
The truckers are coming. The
Absolutely
truckers
not.
are coming.
Honk, honk.
This is just crazy. I don't who's anywhere close to it, my friend.
Yeah, what's your number 2 and number 3? I know you mentioned Barrel.
No, I just think that, like, especially if you look at like competitiveness of like it's really becoming kind of LCK and LPL on top, it wouldn't stun me if a player went on a run and like in the next like 4 years like won 2 worlds or like maybe like won 2 worlds in an MSI. And I just feel like it's like debatable, especially like I think there was a take in San Francisco that was just like, well, maybe this will be the start of like Carrier's run as the GOAT, and then everyone just kind of laughed and was like, see you in 10 years because like you have to double League's legacy. And I think that this weekend, if Faker had won, it would have been like, now he's won finals over 10 years and it's huge. But without that win, I just feel like it's not like this huge chasm that we're never ever going to see again. That's all.
So
I mean, again,
So,
but
like,
who's
okay, I
sitting
think
on the other
that's-
side of that chasm right now?
no, but okay. Who? That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like the Barrel example wasn't. I don't think Barrel's good at all. I just think like we were talking about like is Deft the greatest ADC of all time, for example, and I think like someone like if someone has a career like Deft but wins another Worlds or 2, then it becomes a lot more competitive as a take. Especially because like someone like Deft had like success in LPL, had like success in LCK too. So it's not Deft per se. I think like maybe it's even a player that we haven't seen or is just in their first or second year. But it, like even in like I could see someone making a case with just like a 3 or 4 year like dominant run. As opposed to,
I
like,
think
oh,
the
we
10
need to
years
be
of
on top
Faker
10
is
years.
like that's a huge like nobody in the sport like has been around and had that much success for so like there's so few players that have had that staying power. Deft like part of the story of finals was because Deft is one of the few that have had that staying power, and even then he's not even achieved anywhere close to what Faker's achieved. So
I must say that the take has definitely become much more reasonable than the initial the initial point. Because yes, in 4 years, if someone just has a dominant run of winning worlds after time again, like even Knight could be considered after 3 years if he just wins 3 worlds in a row. It's like, whoa, no one has ever done that before. The thing about Faker is that, like to the point about like him losing finals, he's been to the finals. Like he is, and he's always played at a consistently high level domestically at the hardest, like hardest if not the second, like one of the 2 hardest regions in the world. Like he has just been incredibly strong to the point where if T1 is at the Worlds event, they are one of the front runners. For how long? It's insane to say that. So like, to the point where you lasted it, where you ended it, like if a player that we don't know about or has a pretty substantial career, and I use Knight as an example, but let's say like somebody let's say Mako. I don't know. I'm just pulling a name out of the hat. Just wins 2 more worlds, 3 more worlds. It's like, okay, that's it. That's crazy. That changes the context entirely. Whereas right now, you can't even say that statement of he hasn't solidified it. It's like, it's pretty solid. That shit's hard and
Yeah,
cold.
well, I think that's the thing that
take.
like, I mean, the problem that I have with like the whole, oh, well, if someone just does what Faker did, then suddenly Faker's not as secure. It's like true, but like what makes Faker so secure is the fact that no one in the other 10, 12 years of the sport has had this longevity that he has had. Like the only people still alive playing the game from his first world championship is like him and Deft. Like I don't even think any of the other pros, I'd have to check from season 3, are they even active? like that's what makes the thing so crazy is not just that he impact I'm stupid. Rookie,
Afro
yeah.
Afromu's on the
Afromu.
other side of that chasm, and he's waiting to catch up to Faker.
He wasn't at 2013 World Championship, if I'm not mistaken, was he? CLG make that one?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Was that that's season 3 Docs, but he wasn't on CLG at the time. That's Chouster? No, that's season 2. Fuck, I can't remember now. Anyways, my point is like it's a very small list of people, and most of them are not seriously in world winning contention anymore, other than Faker. So like that's the broader point, is that like no one has done what Faker's done in terms of the winning that many times. Only his teammates at that time period did it, and all of them are gone now except him. Like Bang, Wolf, Bangy, like those guys are all retired. So like the idea that someone else is just going to come along and do what he did is like such a far fetch, and the fact that there's not someone else who's like immediately, to Travis's point, like ready to close that chasm means that it's pretty secure. I would bet it's 5 years before anyone is realistically challenging him at number 2.
I just think that this last Worlds would have really, I think, sealed the deal in a way. Because, I mean, since 2017, he's won LCK like 4 or 5 times, I think, and he has a couple of runner-ups in MSI and in Worlds. But I think like a Worlds win would have, I think, really been like, wow, this is 10 years where you're absolutely on top and you're winning Worlds. And I think now it's just more of a 5 years of domination and then 5 years of like longevity, but not as dominant. That's how I see Faker's take.
I agree that though. I agree with that. I think I muted myself when I was trying to put in the point because like Arsh mentioned it in chat, and the chatter, also the caller mentioned it too. Barrel's career in the LCK literally started in 2019, guys. So we just need more time. So I think that's the main takeaway from this is like we need significantly more time for someone to even match what Faker has done.
Yeah. So. The barrel angle, it's like true if he makes another Worlds finals next year, win or lose, and then like, has some MSIs and some more championships regionally, like sure you're starting to break into that conversation. But that's like you're starting to. Like he's made 3 finals in a row. He's won 2 of them, which is like what Faker already did half a decade ago, guys. And then there's another decade on top, half decade on top of it of still like making Worlds multiple times, never getting knocked out in group stage, MSI wins, regional win, it's just hard
just
to beat
like
that.
Your peers must, and the fans, of course, just like in general, analysts, like your level of play does play a part. Like yes, accolades is one thing, but at the moment in time, like Faker in his time frame was seen as just the GOAT and was always at least the top 3. I mean, it's always dropping off because of he's getting older and there are players behind him that are contesting him, but. Like Barrel is just somebody who has been there and is pushing it and needs more time and needs to continuously be at a position in which
don't need to further explain how Barrel is not as achieved as Faker. Thank you so much, Cole,
he's
for the call.
He's number 2 though, probably in terms of active players who can get him.
I mean, he just needs to play a little bit more Genshin Impact. Cool. Thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Or Uzi comes back.
Travis. I really loved Hotline League in San Francisco. That was super fun.
Thank you.
And shout out my boys, Jake, Isaiah, Ryan, and Alan, who are absolutely going to kill me for this being the take that finally gets me on Hotline League.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the call. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
That is a hot take, though.
It was hot.
Kyle is on. Thank you for the prime. Mark's grabbing our next caller. Double sniffed. Thank you for the 2 years. Really appreciate
Double sniffed?
Yeah. They sniffed
good name.
Twice. Raz, how are you spending your free time now?
I've been playing. Well, actually, I don't know. Free time. Been playing League. Been thinking about NEST, which is coming up in a few days, and the election that's tomorrow. So there's a lot happening here.
I voted, by the way. Everybody go vote, please. Dear God, please.
No one cares. Let's talk about League.
Mark, people
vote.
care.
This is
people
base.
fucking care. Please vote. Do not listen to Mark when he says no one cares. Voting
Travis
is
is right.
important.
So true, Travis.
Oh,
when we can talk about ticketing.
Mark
no one cares about voting. When we are about to talk about ticketing.
Mark, people
Mark
care.
Mark is anti-democracy. True.
That is a shit take, Mark. Okay, Arsh.
Hello.
Let us all know where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Santa Monica. My voice is ruined by finals, so that's why I sound like this.
There we go.
Raz, your voice sounds fine.
I'm just looking at the Twitch chat react
Until I
to Mark
break my
shit,
voice.
and
It's actually
pretty
not
disgusting.
good, but it's better than.
All right, let's talk
I guess,
about
yours
the
and
take because
Flowers.
we have
Okay,
20
so
minutes left.
this wasn't originally my take, but I'm gonna talk about it because it's interesting. Like the ticket situation being overblown. So the idea is like a lot of the focus is like Riot bad for allowing scalpers when it's like that's not like if you want to focus on a problem that's fixable, and like the scalper thing is not fixable. That's because we have a ticketing monopoly for the stadiums in the US, right? Like it's just not a thing we can deal with. And like everyone's focusing down on this thing when it's like really like you should focus on the fact that too many people wanted tickets. Like what you should take away is that this event was insane and so many people wanted tickets and more people will want tickets. So we need more like supply to fill that demand, you know? Like it's overblown like that the scalpers obviously scalpers are bad. But like stop blowing up this thing about like and I agree with this. Like stop blowing up this thing about like scalpers ruining the ticketing experience when like if you change the ecosystem to accommodate more international events and more things for people to buy tickets for, right? It's basic economics, right? You increase the supply and the price will come down naturally, right? Like the demand is so high for people because they want to see these events. It's been 6 years we talked about that, right? But like, I mean, there's rumors of like a third international, whatever, right? Like, focus on that kind of stuff, which is way easier to deal with, and is a problem that'll happen in other countries where there's no ticketing monopoly and scalpers are less of an issue, because that's going to happen anyway. And like, it's indicative of this endemic problem where we need more. We need to focus on the parts that are important, not the thing that's getting everyone's attention. That's my take.
I disagree with this take because one, I agree that Riot can't really do much. Still, like this was really disappointing to me. I don't know if people can see this, but this is a way across from where I was sitting. This was during one of the games. First off, they've got a terrible
Yeah, I
name
saw that
up
too.
there, and like,
Oh yeah.
there's just a bunch of seats empty. And I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if these were like partner seats where like people didn't come out or whatever, but it was painful to see. And this was the worst section in the stadium. I do not want to pretend that this is representative of how the whole stadium looked. But from the seats that Mark and I were sitting in, if you looked across, like this is what you saw during some of these hype matches, and it just felt really fucking bad. Now, go look at all the other photos because again, it was still a fairly full house,
Yeah,
but like
it was pretty busy.
I don't know if these were scalp tickets or what, but it just sucked to see.
Well, and for comparison, like you go to the Super Bowl or you go to, I don't know, NBA Finals, like you don't see that pretty much. At least when I went to those kinds of events, I never saw just like a pretty big chunk like that missing. So I don't know what happened. I think the other thing too about the ticket situation was a lot of it was less about scalpers, and there was some people complaining about scalpers, but a lot of it was also just about like timing of release and people's plans. Like there are a lot of people who had to buy their plans before they could get their tickets. When we were doing Hotline League in San Francisco, the thing that got the loudest cheer from the entire tour of the world's tour was when someone said "fuck scalpers," which obviously is like a sentiment of people who hate scalpers, but also like Riot did not make that a less painless process as possible.
Yeah. I have a video that's coming out this week on social where I went and it's a social video where on the day of finals I went to the Fan Fest and asked people how much they paid for their tickets. And it's going to be a banger. Anyway, Raz, go for it.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people already know, and I'm currently spamming my socials with it, but like I was with MasterCard and we were going through a lot of fan interaction. Like that was the main piece, right? And that was me. I made it a point of like really like talking to people and knowing their situation. There were a lot of people that came in that didn't get tickets and were really gambling on maybe the scalpers tickets will go down in price on the final day. You know, that was a lot of what I heard from like a few people. Was like either they got it and they weren't happy because they paid a shit ton, or some people were like, yeah, I don't want to get it, but you know, that's going to cost 2 months of rent. Like, that's an insane conversation. And I'm already pretty pissed off of scalpers because, my God, I know this is me being selfish, but I refuse to get a PS5 through scalpers. I refuse to get anything through scalpers. It's such a dog shit industry, and there's been some documentaries that have come up about it so far that, like, Ticketmaster as an example, main example, they really benefit from the industry of scalping industry. Their ability to promote and say, yeah, guys, these tickets sold out in 1 second, and other ways, of course, through it, it's disgusting. They benefit off of it. I don't even know. I need to like find those these piece of film just so people can watch it. But it's something that's rough, and we can do a lot better. And maybe, and I agree with you, I think that if they come out naturally and we try and attack the scalping situation, that I'm pretty sure China did a good job of doing it in their domestic finals, then yeah, tickets would go out pretty quickly, but you would also have filled seats, and you would have a less of a bad experience. Because at least when the tickets go out quickly, you'd be like, fuck, you know, it sucks, but at least we had a fair chance. People just want a fair chance to be able to get those tickets. That's one thing. Another thing is I've been thinking a little bit more about is that there's a lot of exclusivity with brands when it comes to getting tickets. Since there are a lot of brands that are working with Riot, so it feels like you know, they can give tickets to specific people. We were in the influencer section, so I know that's one thing that, you know, doesn't help. But it's like one of those things where I noticed that some people just don't show up, and so that always hurts, knowing that some people just don't show up when they are given pretty much a free ride to those tickets, and so you just have an empty seat. So I don't know what the solution is for that, but I just want people to have a fair shot at being able to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Go ahead, Arsh.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, about the thing that you were talking about, Travis. If you know Church of Danny on Twitter, Julia, she goes to a really big art school in LA. Point being, she knows a bunch of Chinese international students who were planning on going to World's Finals, like big groups of Chinese international students, and they all talk on Weibo and stuff because they're all connected in their community here. And like what she said was like, as soon as like their teams didn't make Worlds, like they had tickets that they just bought for however much from scalpers. They had tickets and they were just disinterested in going as soon as their favorite team, which was, I don't know, JDG, whatever, right, didn't make it to finals. They were just disinterested in going. So I do know from that perspective, like I know personally people who like didn't go for that reason, so outside of the influencers and obvious stuff. But yeah, like Raz, I agree that like scalpers are pieces of shit, and like it needs to be fixed, and influencers shouldn't be given free spots if they're not going. But like those are hard things to advocate to solve when it's like it would also be great to just like have more international events and like fix this problem by nature of like economics, right?
Just sell tickets in April, and then people will not feel so bad when they like. There were people who bought tickets, plane tickets, non-refundable, and just went and watched outside in the rain because their plane tickets were non-refundable. Like, I don't know. I had so many people come up to me and thank me for doing the ticket video, which I don't take as like a pat on the back for, oh, like people watch my video. I take it as like how on point that sentiment was from people on how frustrated they were with tickets. So
I had several friends who flew out without tickets.
Someone in the chat mentioned PAX West being a good example of like stopping scalpers. There are ways to do it. Then I don't know about this situation, but if they can make an attempt, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Arsh, for the call. Anything you want to shout
out? Always gonna shout out NA Men. We have our podcast is doing really well. We're almost at 1,000 listens all time, which is like way higher than we thought it was gonna be because we were just kind of doing it for fun. But yeah, check out NA Men. Check out the podcast.
Wait, is it NA Men and not Naymen?
I think it's NA Men. I got yelled at. Delphi yelled at me for calling it NA Men.
So now, is it NA Men because you guys are talking about NA Men?
Yes. Okay. That is the meme about it, is that it looks like Naymen, but then it's NA Men.
Okay, so it literally is, we're talking about these NA Men.
No, I don't think so. I think it's NA Men. It's just, I guess that would be a funny pun.
It's talking about North American men. That's 100% what it is.
So it's
Colin.
weird because like we didn't tell Mark about this. He just came up with a pun that we didn't think about.
Wait,
so we'll be using this.
I've thought for a while this was a thing because
we didn't ever think about that. I don't think unless
you did the
Yeah,
episode
okay.
where
I'm
they
gonna
were
doing your own PR for you if you're not careful. That's
They
what
were-
you guys
they did
an
episode-
It's about the men of the
Hey,
League
listen,
of Legends.
if
They
you
were
use
rating-
so it's NA men.
they were rating the players by how hot they were and how cute they were. So I felt like NA men made sense, but then somebody told me it was NA men. So I don't know.
I'll be honest. NA men is also a less tapped market than like what the other podcasts are covering.
No,
right
that's
now.
what I'm
the
saying.
idea
This is
is,
one of the
like-
reasons okay, hang on. I know I've done a
Yeah.
couple stand up, but like it was funny because Numi went on the Hotline League on Friday and was like, "Hey, Riot should make more like K-pop.
Oh my
Riot and the
God.
team should make more like K-pop style content." And everybody's like, "Oh, this is bad," and like my chat and Peter's chat, I guess, flamed it. Of course, they flamed it because this audience doesn't want K-pop style content. But I think that there's an untapped market. Like this is how LPL and LCK
Yeah.
operate, and like that content should be being made. It's just not going to be me or Mark that are going to be making it. Maybe it'll be Rez. And like that would bring more people into watching LoL esports, which would be good. And so like all of us who don't actually care about that content should actually want
Travis.
that content being made.
I was literally talking
You're-
to. Sorry, go. Sorry.
I was gonna say, Travis, you're so wrong. I really like my 90% male demographic.
Yeah.
I don't want these
my God.
attracting people from different backgrounds and interest levels. Like, that's just not something I want for my sport.
I was
Keep
talking
it
to.
all dudes.
Yeah. I was talking to Daniel Clerk about this Clerky earlier, literally earlier today. We were talking on Twitter. Like, Valorant is so successful in the high school collegiate level because guess what? When you attract half of the population that you were previously alienating, you grow much faster. Like, who knew? There's this whole other half of the population. I've never talked to them, of course, but like, you could just grow your game by appealing to women also at the same time. Like, incredible. Like, I don't know. It's just. I didn't like double-elim chat was also like being as soon as Numi went on, they were like, "Oh my god, she's so hot," and like I don't know, I did not like any of the chat's reactions to her
I just
take
want
at
to
all,
say
but
I
thought it was solid.
I always, as much as I flame my own Twitch chat, I definitely think it's among the more appropriate groups of
Yeah,
Twitch
your chat
chatters.
was way better than his. I will say that 100%.
Anyway, thank you so much, Arsh. Anything you want to shout out?
I already shouted at any man, any other shoutouts. I don't know. You guys did great.
Nope.
I waved at Travis during Worlds Finals, and he waved back. And Drew is great. I also loved meeting Drew. Everyone I met at Worlds was great.
Mark is going to
Thank
have
you,
an
guys.
aneurysm, so you got to go.
Let's
Bye.
Appreciate
fucking
it.
go. We got 10 minutes left.
We can go a little over. It's also 12 minutes. Anyway,
Try no fucking chance.
You were
World
late,
Finals just happened. I'm out
Mark.
of here.
okay. Thank you, Kylo Zen, for the 32 months.
It's a
Any-
cool ass name too.
Any other primers out there? Any other primers? Okay. Mark should be back here in just a second. Want to give a shout out, by the way, to Magic the Gathering Summit, MTG Summit, which I will be at this weekend. I'll talk about it again at the end of the show. But Tom
Very good at it.
Solomid is here. Tom Solomid, where are you calling from?
Calling from Buffalo.
Buffalo. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I've seen a lot of people on Reddit say that this is the greatest Worlds of all time. I think that it was very good, but I think that 2018 Worlds is better just because like this was just heavily dominated by Korea. And I have no issue with that from like a gameplay mechanical sense. But when I look at it as Worlds, like the premier international tournament, when you only have like 2 regions represented in semis, which is like, and anyway, like 3 of them were Korean and then finals was fully Korean. I just look at the Worlds where it had 3 regions in semis and then just like a multi-region final and then the whole other storyline of Korea finally losing Worlds because they just dominated from season 3 to season 7. I just think 2018 had better storylines.
I'm going to step away from this one because I am so biased towards this Worlds because it was actually so fun for me and I loved it so much and all that stuff that I'm just sort of like, it doesn't compare to anything. But I'm going to let Raz go. Raz, what do you think?
2018 was really good. Was really good. Just in terms of, you're right. Like the fact that another region ended up winning again, which is like a big positive. And the storyline about IG was a really nice one. And that one was a strong one. I remember being in China for that one, and as you'd expect of any region, if your region finally wins or you find that level of success, like, I could not get on League for about an hour, guys. I was in queue. Everyone was trying to hop onto these servers. So it was a great Worlds. It was a 3-0 finals. And Fnatic got poo-pooed on. It was just not competitive.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest thing, is that not only was it an uncompetitive finals, but I felt pretty bad about KT actually getting knocked out in the quarterfinals.
I would even say semis were not close either. Like we just got fucking obliterated. I think did G2 get obliterated too?
G2 got 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just 3-0s after a good quarters. And even quarters has some 3-0s. Like the C9 Africa was the first time a American team or a North American team had beaten a Korean in a best of 5. So it was hype, but it was also like not close. Like it was a moment made it hype, but like the game was, I don't know, it was a 3-0.
And I will say just quickly, like that's why I was afraid of this finals, because when an underdog wins, it's very rare that the underdog will continue to perform. Usually it's like, oh, they overperformed in this quarterfinal or the semifinals. And so it's just the 3-0 finals almost guaranteed. That's what happened with like when RNG lost to G2 in the way that they did. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just hoping that G2 can continue to perform, and they get 3-0. I was like, fuck. That was like a perfect storm, but that made the semifinals a little rougher. And that one was literally the Worlds where I initially was just pissed off there was no double like losers bracket. Because man, I would love to have seen RNG, even EDG or Freak of Freaks, and absolutely KT, because they were I'm just reading, but like KT was the team I really wanted to see make that run. So I'll be quick on that one. That was it. So in the end of the day, I do think this was the best Worlds, because every series had its something.
I think this Worlds also is a good case study of the fact that like regional representation in the end doesn't necessarily matter a ton.
Yeah.
Like this was the most watched finals of all time, but you know the West was knocked out almost immediately. China was knocked out pretty quickly, minus JDG, who then lost. So like, I think Tom, to your point, like it's not a sexy bracket. Big picture, like, oh, it's just LCK dominance. Who cares? But like when you look at all the actual storylines going on with DK, Chovy, Zeka, Deft, like all the actual details is what made it so hype and why people were so excited. And I think that combined with Taraz's point, the gameplay, like the narrative and gameplay were both just unmatched this world. Like a Kali Silas matchups, you know, like just top lane matchups. It was hype.
Can I add a little bit? Yeah, like this was probably my favorite Worlds in terms of, this is when I realized, to the point that Mark was making, it did not matter which region was in the semis and quarters, or in the finals, that is. Like group stages were great, even though North America's guys, their ass got blown out. And Europe just got destroyed, except for Rogue, but then they got destroyed later eventually. I was like, damn, are the fans going to be excited for it? And they were excited in group stage. They didn't really care for which team ended up winning, as long as it was exciting. Like it was really fun to watch. And to be fair, the people will probably mention, yeah, a lot of people flew in from either China or Korea, but North America also just had a lot of people who were ethnically from those countries, but also just like were American in the end of the day, and people who weren't just were enjoying the storylines and were cheering regardless. So yeah, when we got a Korea versus Korea finals, I was really worried too, but that was probably the most hype I've seen people in general. So it made me realize that you don't need representation for that necessarily.
Thank you so much, Tom Solomid, for the call. Kind of speed running these last two, but thank you so much. Anything you want to shout out?
I just want to shout out. Are you still sponsored by Mountain Dew Game Fuel?
No, I have their fridge.
I am not. Who are you sponsored by? Grubhub?
Grubhub and Alienware?
I had to run out before, and that's why I was gone from the chat. Mark called me out on being gone. If I had just used Grubhub, I wouldn't have had to leave my apartment.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Tom.
That's it.
Quality.
That was amazing.
Shout out.
Thank you.
That was
Catch
solid.
you next time.
See you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right. Off he goes. Patapone, thank you for the prime. We've got a minute and a half left of the scam train, which has reactivated, and it's only at level 2. Will this shit die? I don't know. But Bluejay is here. Bluejay, where are you joining us from?
Colin from Ontario, Canada. How you guys doing?
Ontario, Canada. I hope you have an off-season take for me. Otherwise, the chat's gonna fucking scream at me, and it'll be Mark's fault. What's your take?
The LCS and LEC should make it a top priority to enforce rules that avoid having their star players in contract jail. I think the contract jail shit is getting old really quick, and I think it hurts the fans, it hurts the players, and it hurts the league skill ceiling. Yeah.
Shout out to Raz for gifting 10 subs in the chat. Okay, so you want to explain the background on where this conversation is coming from?
Yeah, so it seems like Yankos is going to be in contract jail. It seems like Reckless is still, and obviously there was issues with Jensen. There's been a few players that had to deal with it in just the last couple of years, and if nothing is done, we're going to have to keep dealing with it. And I think that's just awful for all the things that I just said, the league, the players, the fans, yeah.
Mark, any insight into how this works in traditional sports, or do people just never end up on the bench for extended periods of time in traditional sports if they're a big name?
More the latter, I would say. Like for football, a lot of contracts are not guaranteed, and like people just get cut, and it's cheaper to just cut people rather than like put them in prison. Apparently, Reckless salary is 6% of what it should be. So like, there's some insane part of his contract that would not exist in traditional sports. Like, if you like are not playing, you still get your fucking contract, even if it's probably getting slashed a little bit. It's not like it becomes negligible and someone can just eat it the way it seems like people can maybe do with these ones, because that's the big thing for traditional sports is like no one wants to sit on $5 million for no reason. And the buyouts, like the demand is just not that high. And like, I would also think that finding a willing suitor is like easier. Like there's more supply in a sense, like there's more teams you can go to. So like, you're not going to get frozen out of like what are in these ecosystems, like realistically 3 teams or 4 teams that these people would go to. That would be my guess for why it doesn't like those in some combination or for why it doesn't happen in traditional sports, but you still get, sometimes people get locked down.
Yeah. That part, the pay cut part pisses me off, where it's like, I heard 40% for Yankos. If you're not playing, he's making much less. I was like, what the? First of all, the buyouts are already pretty egregious to begin with, and that's like a pretty large unchecked part of the industry. Is that for most parts, like when you're signing for the contract, it's not stipulated what the buyouts would be, and it's really up to the owners. And so you end up in a situation where it happened to Jensen, it's happened to anybody that's put in this situation. Mickey, you're just fucked. They will start with a ridiculous price. People won't eat it, especially these days. And then you just, by the time off season's over, it's like, okay, now we'll set it to something that's reasonable. But yeah, good luck for the split. Good luck for the year. And in the Perks situation, it was like, yeah, you can eat the buyout, but you can't trade him to Fnatic. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? And I really wish it would be discussed at some point. And it's, yeah, for the LCS and LEC side, it's pretty wild. And then I think underneath in Academy, it's even more ridiculous. So I really wish that there would be something done about it. But these are legal contracts, so
it's just weird to me.
Yeah,
that agents, like, one, if you're a player and you don't have representation, what are you doing? Like, yep. I in that situation, I feel like the player should be taking the heat more than anybody else. And then 2, if you have representation and this is happening to you, fire your representation, because like I don't know how they're letting you get signed, especially like these bigger names. I don't know how they're getting signed into this stuff. If you're an academy player and you're in contract jail, that's a little different, I think. Yeah. But yeah.
So the Reckless commented on this a little bit in one of his streams where he said like he knew the contract was kind of scuffed and his agent was like, don't do that. And he was like, oh, it'll be worth it. It'll be fine kind of
He's
thing.
Like, it's okay. I'm going to smurf.
So yeah, then, yeah, like that's a perfect example, right? Like,
so like he kind of did that for Yankos. I don't know. Grabs had a tweet as well where he was saying like, hey, don't flame the players because like free agency is a really stressful period. And like when someone gives you a good contract and there's some things in there that you don't like and you have to like get into this negotiation, the timer's coming down. You know, he was just saying that like it's more stressful than people give it credit for. All that's to say the players could do a better job of it. The team shouldn't be doing this, but like Riot as the entity that's in control of this ecosystem should just prevent bad actions from taking place. They did it already where there was the no trade to Fnatic clause put into the Perks contract when he went from G2 to C9. That was in there. And then Riot said, you cannot do this anymore. You can't say as a part of a contract that this contract can't go to somewhere else. They should just do that as well with like buyouts can't exceed X, or like you can't price gouge your player if they're not starting. If you end up signing someone and then not starting them, then fucking release them from their contract.
Yeah, my take was more so about going forward rather than the things that have already happened. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Reckless getting 6% is bullshit. But I guess what my question for you guys was going to be is there anything that the league can do moving forward to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen again? Like,
I mean, they could put a rule in where you have to pay like a minimum percentage of whatever salary is the baseline, right? Like maybe they put the floor at like 60% or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a few recommendations, and you guys can let me know if these are all just not
speed run them because Mark's
the one was what you just said. So mandatory, like you have to compensate X%. The other one was, is there a way that, like for the LCS specifically, that all contracts signed would have to go or be looked over by the LCS PA, for example, rather than having them like they don't have to be your lawyer and like advocate for you that you should make X amount of money, but at least go over it and say like you're getting fucked here, by the way. So try to. Like, is that something?
I mean, I think my belief, and maybe this is born out of ignorance, is that there's nothing stopping the player from showing it to the Players Association and asking for advice. And they actually have like a contract database that they make available to other people, I think, to sort of share information that way. So like, again, like it's really tough because I understand like Riot should prevent bad actors. I also just like, I am confused by some of the decisions that are made by players in the space.
Yeah, I will say the people that are most vulnerable, being Academy, and not having representation because it is what it is. You're probably not making enough. And then even if you were to have the option to look, I've had I think a few players ask me to look over their contracts. It's one of those things where it's like that's always nice, but sometimes you just don't have the liberty. You're in free agency period, and then an organization is giving you a very limited time to be like, by the end of the day, just sign this, or we're looking elsewhere. I've heard this multiple times. There's some orgs that literally just will speed run the shit out of it just so they can. It's pretty predatory to get people to just sign on the dotted line. So that system, to Mark's point, has to change. And Riot needs to probably find a way to get in there.
Yeah.
Could Riot implement a rule that you have to have a lawyer to sign?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
No, you probably don't want to do that.
Not applicable. Yeah, okay. And then I guess the last one that I had, the last idea that I had is maybe you could have a buyout deadline, because it seems like Reckless is still getting screwed over by the buyout. So like maybe if after a year someone still hasn't bought you out, then you can be let go of your contract or something like that. I don't know how applicable that would be either, but that would be the last one that I could think of as a rule to not have someone in contract prison at least for multiple years.
Maybe I kind of like the idea of just making sure that it's hard capped at a somewhat lower end of the actual salary that you're getting or something.
Like a percentage?
Yeah, like your buyout can't exceed 50%. So if you make $1 million, your buyout can't be more than 500K or something. I don't know. People talk about how when I said also no to the can't sign without like a no T kind of thing, or like a legal entity of some kind. Like you can of course put that in there, but I just don't think that's necessary or good, because like Huni's negotiated all his own contracts and he's done phenomenal. Like why should Huni get punished because he's a better negotiator than his and then suddenly like someone gets a percentage just for signing his piece of paper when he did all the work, like
fair enough.
That's why I'm against needing the agents, and it pushes people into agencies and stuff when they might not need it. So that was more my point, just that they shouldn't do that.
All right, because this was the only off-season thing, I will put some of the things that I would put into a predictions video right here, since I know a lot of people waited around hoping that we'd have something, which is a couple predictions that I would put these in the predictions video. Maybe I still will if I do it tomorrow. TSM probably is a prediction, would run back Chime, Maple, and Solo. I also think that they are probably going to, like several teams, try to have their budget be around basically what they make back from the league, which I have heard is somewhere in like the $2 to $3 million range. That when I say that as their budget, I mean, I think a lot of teams are probably going to be trying to figure out how to break even with money that they get from Riot. And I mean that also with like coaching and stuff like that. I worry a lot about people's content budgets next year. I am worried about Jensen right now because I haven't heard any rumors of where he might end up. And so I think it would be ironic if he sits another spring split out. I have heard that what else? I heard a rumor about Papa Smithy having a new job. He's in the chat. Sorry, Papa Smithy, if that's annoying to you.
I mean, that'd be the weirdest league. Is like he has another job. Is like I would expect so.
at one of the LCS teams.
Okay.
I believe that Fudge, Blabber, and Berserker will probably stay at C9.
Really cool.
I think that Closer and Santorin could end up at maybe TSM or CLG. I don't know if CLG will run back their full roster. I'm no longer 100% confident that they will. I think that's enough for now. Anyway, maybe I'll do my video soon on guesses for off-season stuff, but or predictions or whatever. But I just wanted to give you guys something since I know everybody was spamming and we only had one off-season take.
You
These
should have
are
told me you wanted to do that. I would have pulled it. We could have done it at the beginning to bait people on from Reddit to get here, dude. We could have optimized that content.
These are predictions. They are not reports or guarantees. So make sure that this part, clip what I just said, because when other people clip the other parts and they only put that out, but then they don't clip the other part, then you seeing that on the social media somewhere can also clip the part where I said these are predictions, not guarantees, and have it as the top comment in that Reddit thread or whatever.
SMH. Mark not giving Travis the platform to hit this content.
People were also asking.
Did Travis ever say that he wanted to cover a bunch of off-season rumors?
I was saying at the start of the show, people can play it back. I was like, yeah, I want to mostly talk about finals, but we should talk about some off-season stuff. And then you're like,
yeah, but that doesn't say that you want to list, like, that is not descriptive at all. You could have just
they would have just come up naturally.
The end of the show, and
they would have just come up naturally in people's off-season takes. I just thought we took some. Anyway, the other thing is,
why did you tell me you wanted rumors and not like
some people
you didn't say what you wanted?
Some people,
this is the worst communication of a co-host ever, dude. Just tell me before the show. On Facebook, tell me when we're live. Just say them.
I titled the stream "World Finals plus Off-Season Episode." The other thing is, I saw some people in the chat saying, "Why is off-season so slow?" I think there's a variety of reasons. One is Team Liquid is not doing their normal thing of like speed rushing off-season, which lights a fire underneath everybody else. I think another thing is that the market is softening. For salaries and buyouts and all that stuff, and so that kind of just naturally there's also kind of a component where like a lot of teams are kind of just like sitting back and waiting to see what happens, I think, and who's available and what's going on. So I think that's also kind of slowed things down. I also think like, will Peter play, and if so, what team is sort of the first domino, and that has. I think there's a leading candidate or answer to that at this point in time, but
Dignitas?
I don't. Raz, don't leak that shit. But I think that is also, since that domino hasn't fallen out yet, I think that's also something that's kind of holding stuff back. Okay. Anyway,
I got a leak too that 2016 TSM is reuniting. I saw a picture of some of them hanging out together. I also think 2021 TSM is, or 2020 TSM? Yeah, 2020 TSM Summer is reuniting. I saw an image of them.
If they did, you think it'd be the whole five-man team, Mark?
Yeah, both teams are full five reuniting under TSM. One's going to be playing in Academy, and they're going to be swapping their starters based off who plays better that week in scrims. 2016 TSM or 2020 TSM. It's tough to say because some of those players are on both rosters, so it's going to be a really tough scrim situation. But we'll just that's what I heard. That was my rumor.
Thank you so much, Bluejay, for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Just a shout out to the people that I see on Twitter always giving the players advice and whatnot so that they don't get in these just trash contracts and don't get fucked over. I think that's pretty OP for the people that don't have to do that but do it anyway.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, goodbye.
That's
I had
the show.
A rumor as well.
That's the show, everyone.
Oh, no, I want to hear Raz's rumor. It's not fair that only you got to do rumors. Raz has a rumor.
See, I have a rumor. See, I heard that a popular content creator and coach, FL, First Light, will be coaching in the LCS once again. So just watch out for that one.
The way you describe that makes people think that will actually be true, Raz.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because you didn't say it in a way, because he said it in like a meme. You have to be blunt with it, as if you want to make it into a joke. You have to be like, I've heard that LS is giving up everything to coach Dignitas.
I didn't say LS. I said First Light.
Yes, but when you say it that way, people think you're coding it. Because like all these other roster people are like putting things out as like codes and stuff, and so people think that you're coding it, and they actually think it's true.
Which is for the best, honestly.
And a lot of people do like pray for Ellis to come back and coach again. So I just feel like you're giving them false hopes.
What?
No one thinks 2016 TSMs were united.
Look, if anyone takes what I say about FL joining the LCS seriously, they need to get checked in, guys.
No, I actually heard a similar rumor that First Light was joining 2016 TSM.
see,
shit.
Mark's doing it right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's the show. I've got a couple shout outs, but I'll let you guys run first. Raz, what you got?
Oh, nothing much. NEST's coming out, so I'm probably going to be either streaming NEST or making a video talking about it a little bit. That's going to be my off season, is just trying to talk about, what I used to love doing in the off season, which is some bootleg ass streams on either NEST and Demacia Cup. That's going to be my goal.
Okay. And Mark, what you got?
I'm got a little bit going on this week, like I mentioned at the top of the show, but after that, I'm just going to be DJing off season, working on my side projects, finally getting some time to work on those. I don't know if we're doing Genshin Impact again. I will need to talk about that, see if our resin refresh is coming back. I got Nahida, still working on getting her stuff all figured out, but I don't know. Other than that, shout out Ultimate List whenever that comes out. I'll tweet about it.
Poggers. Okay. A couple different things. For me, I am going to be at MTG Summit this weekend. It is a Magic the Gathering event that is happening in Salt Lake City. I, despite being somebody who is just getting into Magic within the last couple months, am going to be a special guest at this at this thing somehow, against all odds. It's Friday through Sunday in Salt Lake City. If you see me there, please say hi, because I have gotten used to that over the last 5 weeks and I'm going to start going through withdrawals. Secondly, I am going to be at Dragonsteel 2022, which is Brandon Sanderson's convention, on Monday and Tuesday in that same convention hall in Salt Lake City. If you see me there, please say hi, because I've gotten used to that over the past 5 weeks and I'm going to hit withdrawals. Next up, I have a bunch of cool content coming out this week, including the John Needham interview we talked about earlier in the show. Please make sure that you watch that, because normally that stuff doesn't perform as well, even though it should, because it's some of the most crazy stuff ever. If you have any pro tips on how to play Magic, let me know. We got some cool surprise test content coming soon. Thank you, everybody who came out in person for Hotline League. It was really good. And goodbye, Mark and Raz. Thank you guys for coming out.
Shout out to the in-person fans. That was awesome, especially the last one. The crowd was super big and it was cold as shit. But yeah, shout out to all the fans who showed up to everything. That was really cool.
Yeah. All right. I will get to see Brandon Sanderson, because I'm playing I got a ticket to the Magic the Gathering draft that's there, and I'm also maybe interviewing him. Stay tuned for that. Oh, wait. As an aside, I don't know when Hotline League is happening next. Mark and I will talk about it later, but I mean, Monday night I'm at the Dragonsteel convention, so
Uh-oh.
and I'm.
It's discontinuing forever?
It might be dead. This might be the
After
last
beef
episode.
over when we should have talked about off-season roster rumors. Travis and Mark have parted ways from TGI. That's my off-season roster rumor. Is that there's an off-season roster rumor riff?
Fion
Off roster.
was it Fion?
rumor
Fion
myth.
said that. Papa Smithy just messaged me and said, "Oi, no leaks." So I cannot comment further on any of things, including what's going on with him.
Mark is leaving Hotline League and Travis Gafford Industries to go back into coaching for Team Liquid or a TSM super team.
That sounds pretty good to me.
He spelled it leaks like the onion, so maybe he just doesn't like those. Anyway, thanks everyone. See you this weekend. Oh, stick around on stream. I'll show you the new episode of Surprise Test, which is from LCS Finals, and you just need to stick around for 10 minutes because I get this bounty, and I haven't done a bounty in months. All right, bye.